saying, "Will you get the down, you stupid little shit?" She will call them assholes, "You little assholes, I told you to go do this, now go do what the I said before I beat your ass." Called him a bastard child out of anger. I guess he was doing something like climbing on the table, and she told him to get down several times, and she's like, this is why I wish I never had you, wish I would have aborted you, and stuff like that.
And I just want to make it clear the circumstances in which you're hearing this. Are you physically present with her when you're hearing these things?
No, sir.
Right. You're on the phone with her?
Yes.
And you can hear her saying these things over the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Let's kind of break these things down. You said something about her calling him a bastard child and saying something about his dad.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember about that.
I know when she would get really frustrated with him that she can be unpredictable and say things very harshly that a normal mother would not say. And about, I wish I never had you, wish I would have had an abortion. I wish I never had your dad. Got with your dad, so I would never had you. Stuff like that.
Are you sure she was referring to Quentin?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Because she would yell, "Quinn, what just tell you?" And then go on with what I just said.
I think you also mentioned asshole or something.
Yes, asshole. For him acting like a 15-year-old or a 15-month-old acting like an asshole.
Could you tell over the phone what he was doing, or if anything, or what was going on that caused her to have these outbursts?
I could hear the kids playing, screaming, running around, like what kids do. I have 3 kids myself, 2 boys and a daughter. So boys being boys, they get rough with each other. And, that happens, okay? But instead of hey, you guys can keep your hands to yourself, time out and do the separate them or whatever, she would start cussing and snapping and yelling and calling names. Now,
how would you react, if at all? I don't know what you
I was speechless, sir. I would try to be like, "Hey, calm down. You're just mad. You don't need to be saying those kinds of things. You don't mean it," thinking, she didn't mean it. That was my assumptions. Okay, but I would try to calm her down and be like, "Hey, chill out. Take a breather. They're just kids. They're little kids. This is going to happen."
Did you ever hear anything that sounded? What you talked about was what? Did you characterize it as verbal abuse?
Yes, and I've heard her whip them, but I can't, like I said, it's whooping, so I don't know if she's using her hand on their butt. I don't know what she's using. It's on a phone call.
Okay, so for that, you're saying you can't say what it was or was not reasonable parental discipline?
Exactly.
But you've heard stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. Overall, based on all your interactions with her and all your observations, did you develop the impression that she felt differently about Quentin than she did about Zane?
Yes, because every time I would speak to her, she would always speak highly about Zane and her youngest one after she was born, but never about Quentin, even though he was the sweetest little thing ever.
What kind of things would she say about Zane?
Talking about how well he is, how smart he is, how he knows his ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, so on and so forth, the potty training, stuff about Cody and her, just talking highly about him and how good he's doing from when I last seen him as a little baby.
And do you remember hearing anything like that about Quentin?
No.
Just to be clear, did you ever yourself physically meet Quentin?
I have never physically met Quentin, no.
And is that because you all had already cheated away
right.
at the time before she had?
Yes, but I have FaceTimed him after he was born and seen him, I FaceTimed him and Zane and Sky when she was a little baby too.
1 moment, please.
Yes.
Not really a strong friendship there, is it?
Well, sir, we did have a very strong friendship, but again, like I said before, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and the path she was going down was a path that I clearly could not help her out.
Ms. Bowling, you and Miss Simon started smoking weed together in 2017, so let's not pretend this is some sort of Sunday school
You're
thing.
right, sir, okay, but the thing is, I never done cocaine, I never did ecstasy, nor pills.
Okay.
That was in 2017, sir.
That was
a long time ago, and I don't anymore.
Okay. Well, congratulations to you. And that being said, was that the reason y'all hung out, was to smoke weed together?
No. The reason maybe for her, because she likes to use people, but to me, it was, hanging out with Cody, helping him get back on his feet, because what he had to endure and go through at that time, which is a different matter from this course.
You have some rather unique beliefs, don't you, Ms. Bowling?
Beliefs?
Yes.
Can you define that, please, or elaborate it for me, please?
I can. Do you remember meeting with Mr. Dean on August 13th of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling him about some experiences you had on August 13th and conveying those to him?
Yep.
Okay. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not tell him that you had communed with Quentin Simon's ghost?
Yes, and if you would like, I can actually do it here and show you guys.
Oh, please, by all means. I would love to see this.
Give me a holy Bible and a candle, yes, sir.
So, that being said, you told Mr. Dean this, correct?
I sure did.
And you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, your husband videotaped the seance, correct?
He did.
And anytime I'm making a misstatement as to what you said that Quentin Simon spoke to you through a candle.
He spoke to me through images. Okay, when I was in my trance, I couldn't see anything except for what he was showing me and what he was telling me as a 15-month-old could do.
Okay. And so he was a 15-month-old ghost speaking to you. Please tell me about this. I would love to hear it.
Okay, so this is what I did, and I lit my candle, had my Bible out, and I prayed. I asked if I could reach out to Quentin Simon, and here he comes, behold. Do I see him physically? No. But here he is, and he is Mama Mel, is what I was always called by them. Mama Mel, help me. I said, with what? I said, help me, help you. What happened? He said, Mommy hurt me. I asked him, how did he hurt you? Or how did she hurt you, sorry. And he told me, she hit me in the head really hard. I said, okay. I was like, what else? And I said, did you, get any candy, thinking maybe he got into drugs or something? And he said, no. I said, okay, where are you? And he threw me the star of the church that's next to the landfill, on that dirt road right there next to Little Neck Road on the dump. He showed me exactly where he was in that pile, with his arm hanging out, lifeless, gray, and there's blood, in a bag that looked like it used to be like a bluish purple color, and he's throwing up blood. After I closed out the seance, I prayed, and I said, I wish you peace, and to pass on peacefully, because you'll get the justice you need. Okay, I prayed, closed it out, that was that. Blew out the candle, turned on the lights, and my hoverboard that both my son had, that was completely destroyed, because he took it through a mud puddle. When you take a hoverboard, electric hoverboard through a mud puddle, it's done. It started turning on and off by itself and moving, even though it's completely done for, and I've tried charging it and nothing.
And what date was this?
What day was that? That was, to be honest with you, it's sometime in November of 2022. I don't know the exact date. I do not.
This was after they announced they found remains in the landfill.
No, this is actually before the indictment report came out. I had the dream, which I told them already, but yes. Okay.
So it was in November, correct?
Roughly, maybe the end of October. It's in that time area. I also had a major craniotomy that year, so my memory's a little...
What's a craniotomy?
Where you have to have a major brain surgery. They take your skull off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So you had craniotomy,
I did.
and you told all this to Mr. Dean.
To Mr. Yes.
All the questions.
Melanie, is it fair to say that I brought you into my office to talk about concrete things that you heard the defendant say over the years about Quentin?
Yes,
Okay. And that you volunteered the information about the seance, right?
I did. Because I don't know if you guys recognize that kind of stuff or not.
And do you remember me telling you, well, I have to tell the defense about this because it's a thing you said as a witness, but that it's seance information is not admissible in court.
Exactly, yes, sir.
And do you remember acknowledging pretty even-handedly that you understand that not everybody believes in these things?
I do, and that's why I didn't want to speak on it like that. Yes, sir.
Now, you said that you had a Bible with you while you were doing this.
Yes.
And it was a Christian Bible.
Yes, sir. I was baptized and raised as a Christian.
Do you remain a practicing Christian?
I sure do, sir.
Do you consider this some sort of prayer practice, what you're describing?
Yes, sir. I mean, in a way.
Do you consider it a private matter?
A private matter, yes.
How does it feel to come into court and essentially get made fun of for it?
You know, to be honest with you, it's kind of embarrassing because, like you said, not everybody believes in this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I was born with a gift that I call a curse.
Now, does any of this have anything to do with the things that you heard her say about her son, both before and after his birth?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Bowling, you're willing to hold yourself up to ridicule to get justice for Quentin, aren't you?
Excuse me?
Said you're willing to hold yourself up to public ridicule to get justice for Quentin, aren't you?
I guess so. I'm here to get justice for him, so.
What aren't you willing to do for Quentin's justice?
Well, I've done everything I can possibly for his justice.
Thank you so much.
Anything further from state?
No, no.
Ms. Bowling, you're excused.
Thank you, ma'am.